Good morning. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Yes, it is time for your favorite show. It's a daily show, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. There's so much to get to today, and sorry if I sound a little hoarse. I don't know what is going on. I think it's just harvest season. I get this way every single year. The bugs are so bad. I love fall. I hate this like in between time when all the corn is still up and the farmers are out there harvesting. I just can't stand the the dust, and my allergies act up, and it's miserable. It's miserable. So pray for me. Pray that I can get through this show without coughing and sneezing. All right, so we've got a lot to get to today. Speaking about farmers, I do want to let you know you can nominate a farmer. Feed the farmers feed us, but who feeds them? We do. Along with our friends at Linco Precision and El Paso, Compier Financial and Pontiac, Cornbell Energy, and the good guys at Barker Chevy in Lexington, Country Financial Agent Mike Rich. This harvest season, we are delivering Freaky Fast Jimmy John sandwiches. We do this every single year. We go and deliver Jimmy John sandwiches to farmers who are working their fields. So you got to go to our website, cities929.com, and nominate a farmer for your chance to get a free lunch. Yes, for your chance to get a free lunch, for them to get a free lunch. So if you know a farmer who's harvesting today, go to cities929.com and nominate them. And they can get Freaky Fast Jimmy John sandwiches. So big thank you to the farmers out there. I come from a farming family. You guys work really, really hard. I don't know if I could ever do it. I mean, listen to me. I sound like Kamala Harris. I sound like Kamala Harris, right? She's just so nasally. So let's get to today's stories. I do want to start with this Washington, D.C. restaurant. They had to take down an elephant logo. I'm going to get to that story here in just a quick second. But in the 6 o'clock hour, I've got a few stories I want to hit. Senator John Kennedy, wrecks these experts. Okay, so these experts, they're testifying about the housing crisis, and Senator Kennedy, he wrecks them, and he gets them pretty much to admit that the Biden-Harris border crisis is attributing to these skyrocketing prices, these housing prices, and it's also contributing to people not being able to find a home and get into a home. So because the demand is just too crazy. So Senator John Kennedy, we're going to take a listen to him. I am going to fact check Kamala Harris. I love doing these. I do them all of the time. And if you support this content, if you're a business owner or if you know somebody who owns a business, tell them to get on Cities 92.9 as an advertiser. Okay, I take a lot of time to listen to Kamala Harris, so you don't have to. And if you like content like this, if you want the fact checks, if you want the YouTube channel, if you want the live streaming, you're going to have to support us by advertising on Cities 92.9. So I am going to take some time and fact check everything that she says in this first solo interview that she did with Stephanie Ruhle, MSNBC. We know, did like a team. They interviewed as a team, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That was the only interview she's ever done up to this point. Now she's done a solo interview since being installed as the nominee. So I do want to get to that. Plus, CNN asked a bunch of 10-year-olds what they thought about the election, and their answers are way better than you think. And I love it. If you want truth about American politics, just ask kids what they think. All right, I'm going to get to all of that. But first, I do want to get to this story just because I find it very interesting. And I want to know if you've ever experienced this as a business owner. 309-451-9299. If somebody gets so triggered that they're bothered by an elephant because it reminds them of the Republican Party, that's probably a sign that you're legally insane or you're retarded, or, I mean, and I say that with seriousness, okay? This is really, really sad that somebody was so triggered by this elephant that they felt like they had to make mean-spirited comments and harassment. They had mean-spirited harassment. This is according to some business owners at this DC restaurant. They felt they had no choice, this DC restaurant, but to bend the knee to the leftist outrage and remove their tavern logo after woke demands. So it's called Political Patties, this restaurant in Washington, D.C., and they had a logo with a blue donkey and a red elephant. And, this is not something that should be as controversial as it is, but we're currently living in a time where mental illness is glorified, even celebrated, right? And here we are. I don't know why they bent the knee to quite literally somebody who's mentally ill. If an elephant triggers you that badly, then you are mentally ill, and you're not okay. You need some water, you need some medication, whatever. So subsequently, they were forced to issue a public apology because their logo featured the red elephant. I mean, they're in Washington, D.C. It makes sense. It's actually a kind of a cute name, Political Patties. And then they had the Democrat donkey, and then they had the Republican elephant. But they had to remove their logo and issue an apology because people were upset about the elephant, obviously, because it was in Washington, D.C. I'm not here to victim blame. I'm not going to victim blame the business owners. I get these people need to make a living. It is in D.C. So according to the Post Millennial, after opening on Thursday, okay, so this was yesterday, the owners removed both the elephant and the donkey and painted over the political part of the pub's name. So it's called Political Patties. They painted over the political part. Now it's just called Patties. And they explained on X that they weren't happy about the backlash that they received, and they described the backlash as, quote, mean-spirited. Also, according to the Post Millennial, they said soon after our logo was painted on our building, we realized that the representation of the red elephant was hurtful to the community. The owners, Andrew and Cindy, said in a statement, quote, out of respect, we decided to change the logo and we removed both the donkey and the elephant. The fact that the tavern had to cave to these demands shows how intolerant the alleged side of tolerance really is. These people are not tolerant. They say they're the tolerant ones, but they're very intolerant, okay? And it's astonishing that these people think that they're the compassionate ones. Give me a break. So this guy, Andrew, he's a Republican of the two of them, and he reportedly isn't voting for Donald Trump come November. Cindy, she's an attorney, and she handles civil rights cases, and she's also a Democrat. She was born and raised in D.C., and they're both Black. So what? Are we not uplifting Black voices, Black business owners anymore? We're just going to go after them? I can almost be certain that everyone who had a problem with this was white. And I can almost be certain it's these white women in Washington, D.C. who felt threatened by a little red elephant. Quote out of the Post Millennial from the couple, they said, we view the online backlash that we've recently received to be mean-spirited, especially considering our original and continued intent was to be a space that was welcoming to all people, including members of the LGBTQ community. We do not tolerate homophobia, transphobia, racism, or any form of bigotry as Black Americans. Anything else would be antithetical to our very existence. The owners wrote all of this in a post. The statement says that they did not push out or take over the previous owners of the Dirty Goose. Apparently, some of the backlash was they all suggested that these owners pushed out the old owners. The left is very conspiratorial. Okay, they say that we're the conspiracy theorists. They're actually the conspiracy theorists. They cook up things in their heads because they're mentally insane. Some of them, not all. I would say some Democrats have a good head on their shoulders, the ones that are voting for Donald Trump and not the woman who was installed. Okay, so this couple intended to create a space that was actually welcoming to all people meaning conservatives as well. But here's the problem with progressivism. Here's the problem with leftists in this progressive utopia. Conservatives are not welcome. They're just not. So you're tolerant up to a point. If you're conservative, if you're a Christian, then you have no tolerance for those people. That's how this inclusive thing works, okay? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? It doesn't actually mean inclusive of all. It means inclusive up to a point. And if you're a Christian conservative, then you're not invited to our club, our DEI club. So the fact that these people had such an issue with this proves that society has gotten so bad. It's literally a picture of a little tiny elephant, like just a small little elephant logo. And I don't know, elephants are a problem now, I guess. Moral of the story. If you're thinking about opening up a business, do not open it up in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Nothing good can come from that, and I advise you against it. All right, coming up in just a little bit, Senator Kennedy is wrecking these experts. So these experts are talking about all this, housing crisis and rising housing costs, and everybody's missing what is actually going on. The increase of demand. There's a new increase of demand out there, a high increase. Senator Kennedy asked what everybody should be asking is, hey, does illegal immigration increase demand for and therefore the price of housing in America? So, I mean, genius question. I can't believe nobody's pointing to this as the reason why we have a housing crisis and the cost is so high. This is the reason why. And John Kennedy just completely destroys these so-called experts, and I'm totally here for it. He's got that little Southern twang to it too. So come back on the other side to listen to some John Kennedy this Friday morning. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat. Hi, folks. Are you watching? Go ahead, smash that like button. We're coming right back here in just a moment. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am going to be fact-checking Kamala Harris. Her first solo interview was completely full of lies. I do this every single time she opens up her mouth. So it takes a lot of work and something that I really don't want to do, but I do for you because I love you. I sign off the show every single day saying I love you, and I mean that. So I listen to Kamala Harris, so you don't have to. So I'm going to fact check her lies in this first ever solo interview. She interviewed as a team with Tim Walz the last time she was in front of a camera. So we're going to get to that. And also, folks, if you want to support the program, Patriot Pump powers the stream. You can get your very own bottle of Patriot Pump by visiting patriotpumpenergy.com. This is a premium pre-workout. It's got black pepper extract in it and keeps you focused all day long. If you're a business owner, reach out to me. Let me know if you'd like to become an advertiser. We only work with awesome businesses, so we would appreciate your partnership with us. Go ahead and let me know where you're watching from in the comments section so you can be a part of the show. Yes. Okay. So John Kennedy, he asked what everybody should be asking right now. Why is the price of housing so high? Well, the price of housing is just so high because of the illegal immigration that's going on. And who's going to make it worse? It's not Donald Trump. It's Kamala Harris. I've talked about this several times. She wants to give everybody first-time home buyers $25,000 to fix your problems and trying to find a house that is cost-friendly. Because a lot of people can't buy homes, and that is not the Donald Trump's fault. That is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's fault because of their massive illegal immigration crisis that we've got, and that's increasing demand. How are you going to house all of these individuals? Also, the cost of supplies. So the wood, everything that you use to build a house is too expensive. So nobody's building. Now the $25,000 to people is not going to fix your problems. It's only going to increase demand. Subsequently, that's going to make housing even more expensive. So it's almost like these people are intending for a housing crisis, right? I do want to bring this up. This is a huge problem where we don't have single family housing anymore because when you build multifamily housing, it's a little bit cheaper. I think that the goal here is to quite literally get people out of, single family housing or buying a house for their family. I did a story earlier this year about State Representative Ken Buckner. It quite literally says the Single Family Zoning Ban Act. So he introduced a bill that would ban single family homes. I mean, essentially. So State Representative introduced a measure that would ban single family only zoning in Illinois cities. So State Representative Cam Buckner, he is a Democrat from Chicago, and he posted on X that Chicago and many cities in Illinois have a self-inflicted housing crisis. And he's going to do something about that by introducing this bill, House Bill 4795. I'm going to check the status of that, see where it's at right now. Okay, it looks like it is stuck in committee. So this is a good sign. It didn't get through. But he said the measure was created the, quote, Single Family Zoning Ban Act in states on or after June 1st of 2025 for a zoning unit with a population equal to or greater than 100,000, but less than 500,000. And after June 1st of 2026 for a zoning unit with a population equal to or greater than 500,000, the zoning unit may not zone an area exclusively for single-family residential use. Okay. So if this goes into effect, there's developers, real estate companies who are concerned that that might reverse their zoning, their single family zoning projects that they have currently. So yeah, the bill only applies to cities with population. So in total, that's 8 cities. So a zoning unit. Yeah. So they're going after single family homes. And I think that the whole reason is because they want to be able to squeeze as many illegal immigrants in multifamily housing, and they need more multifamily housing. So yeah, this is interesting. It's stuck in committee, but this is a huge issue if it were to get passed. And there's an attack just on single family homes in Illinois. Ooh! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Before I took the break, I was telling you about the housing crisis, and we are going to get to Senator John Kennedy here, but this is very important. It's called House Bill 4795. Now, I wrote an article about this earlier in the year. Let's see the date on this. Back in February. Now, there is an attack on the American dream. There's an attack on single-family housing, and it's happening right here in Illinois. Now, I'm speculating that the reason for this attack is because they want multifamily housing, they want apartment complexes, they want condos, they want multifamily housing so they can squeeze in as many illegal immigrants into this housing as much as possible because there is such demand. They cannot house the illegals. They don't know where to put them. And now the state or your representatives, what they're trying to do is force or man-make really multifamily housing so that way we can house the illegals, and they're trying to ban quite literally single-family only zoning in Illinois cities. So State Representative Cam Buckner, as I talked about back in February, this is very important stuff. He's a Democrat out of Chicago. And he says that our housing crisis is self-inflicted and he wants to do something about it. And he's introduced this bill. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's stuck in committee. But the point is, there's people in Illinois who are attacking single-family housing, attacking the American dream. And he said, if we're serious about affordability, quote, Cam Buckner says, housing more people, we should do away with barriers that complicate that. So there's, restrictions on this. It's only this single family zoning ban act would only apply to, zoning units with a population equal to or greater than 100,000, but less than 500,000. And then it switches over for a zoning unit with a population equal to or greater than 500,000 in 2026. So in 2025, their goal is to ban it in cities with equal to or greater than 100,000 people. Zoning units. Now, in Bloomington Normal, if you include both Bloomington Normal, then that would be over, obviously, 100,000 people, but less than 500,000. And you would be in that category. If it was just solely Bloomington or just solely Normal, I don't know. I'm not too sure if they're a combined zoning unit, but if it's McLean County, then that would be a zoning unit. So the language in this bill is a little unclear in what a zoning unit actually is. Is it a county? Is it a city? Now the representative who introduced this, he said that it's only going to affect 8 cities. And, Bloomington Normal, they're not one of them. So it's only going to affect some major cities in Illinois. But the point is, I think people are missing the point here. Yeah, there's restrictions and it's not going to apply. Why go after single family housing to begin with, right? Why do you want the multifamily housing? It's probably because you want to jam pack as many illegal immigrants into this multifamily housing as much as possible, because there is such a demand for housing, and it's cheaper to make the multifamily housing. You can probably make them really, really cheap. And apartments, it's just easier to house more people in these multifamily housing, and there is such a demand because of the illegal immigration that exists in this country now. So it's concerning when the average home prices have nearly doubled since 2019. Okay, supply keeps decreasing, and then you've got demand increasing. Okay, as more migrants come and the houses are in demand, housing is in demand because of the migrant situation. So let's take a listen to John Kennedy. He just completely wrecks the housing experts. Here we go.
Whether you agree with it or not, if you admit 10 to 12 foreign nationals illegal into your country, all of whom need housing, does that make the cost of home ownership go up?
I think that all of these questions and all of these inputs to housing costs.
What about illegal immigration? Does that increase demand for housing and make the cost of home ownership go up?
I think that's a distributional question. I think the question we're here to talk about today
but does it make the cost of home ownership go up?
We're here to talk about housing supply today.
We're here to talk about home ownership and the cost of owning a home. You're a bright man. Does that make the cost of home ownership go up when you increase demand that much?
I think that's a distributional question.
You don't want to admit it, do you?
I think that's a distributional question, and the problem that we're facing is
with all due
housing
respect,
supply.
I think you're being disingenuous. Let me ask you, Mr. Pinto, if you increase immigration by 11 million people, does that increase the cost of home ownership?
Senator, yes. We've tried to figure out what that impact is.
I mean, duh.
Yeah, but the federal government doesn't publish where they're distributing these individuals around the country. So we can't do the kinds of experiments that we normally do.
It causes home
But
ownership to go up in some
certainly,
places.
but we can't figure out exactly what it is. We'd love to.
I'm not
We
here
need
to
the
play
data.
games. I'm here to try to get some answers.
But if you could get more data, that would be great.
I'm sorry?
If you could get the data released by the federal government as to where.
I'll give you some data. Mortgage rates are up 123%. Premiums for homeowners are up 16%. The average electricity bill in America is up 28%.
All right. So I love him. He's just the glasses, the Southern accent, all of it together is just amazing. But these people would rather stutter over themselves and not answer the question. Obviously, high demand increases the cost of housing. This is so evident, but they want to make every excuse under the sun to not answer that question. Hey, illegal immigration, bad for housing prices? So I love the answer here that this Pinto gives. He goes, we don't know where the federal government sends the illegals. I'll answer that question. Everywhere. Everywhere. They're sending them to Springfield, Ohio, New York, Chicago. It doesn't matter. No city is too big or small to house foreign nationals at the expense of the American people. And the federal government is shipping them everywhere. And it does not take a genius to figure out how to do that math. Okay. You got 20,000 Haitian illegal immigrants imported into Springfield, Ohio. Of course, that's going to drive up housing costs. In May, Kennedy, he introduced a bill that would stop the government from funding housing for illegal immigrants over veterans. He says, quote, veterans sacrificed for our country and deserve our thanks and support. Our tax dollars really should be going towards them. He continues, he says, the Heroes Over Aliens Act would prevent the Biden administration from prioritizing illegal immigrants over homeless heroes. Yeah, you would think that the government would be housing homeless veterans over illegal immigrants, but, that seems to be the least of their concerns. Since Sleepy Joe took office, there has been an alien invasion, and in that amount of time, of course, costs of living has gone up, including housing prices. The national rent increased 30.4% from 2019 to 2023, and 42% just in the last 3 years. So, this bypasses wages. In addition to dollar deflating. Okay, your money does not stretch as far as it used to. Okay, and your wages are not keeping up with this cost of living. Over the last several years, migrants have been pouring in over that border by the millions. They have arrived here. And look, correlation does not equal causation, but if the shoe fits, it literally fits. Okay, the shoe fits. What has been different in the last few years where your housing prices are just skyrocketing, rent is skyrocketing? What's different? Well, I'll tell you, it's the illegal immigration. Okay. So why don't we postpone this alien invasion? Why don't we shut down the border and fix our housing crisis? Why don't we, stop making things worse for Americans and at least pretend to care? Because if the government does care. That's the problem, is they do care. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's almost like they're intending to make your life so much worse. According to Kamala, she's going to be giving first-time home buyers an extra $25,000, which is a huge problem because that's only going to increase demand even further. And that's going to cause housing to be even more expensive. I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Gat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. I'm going to wrap up this story. Plus, I'm going to fact check Kamala Harris's first ever solo interview that she did with Stephanie Ruhle. Keep it right here. do. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. Yes, before we took the break, I was telling you about the housing cost just skyrocketing and why that is. It's obviously the illegal immigration. If Kamala Harris were to be president, it's only going to get worse because she's offering $25,000 Jerry Springer check to first-time home buyers, and that's only going to increase demand, subsequently making housing more expensive. The last thing you want to do, you should do to lower the cost of living, is import a bunch of foreign nationals to give them free everything, okay? If you want to lower the cost of living, importing a bunch of foreign nationals and giving them free stuff, that is, of course, going, especially at a time when Americans are struggling, that is the last thing you want to do. Okay, so to say your government does everything in its power to decrease your purchasing power is an understatement. They are doing everything to come after you, and if they at least wanted to pretend to care about your wallet, if they at least wanted to show you, oh yeah, we're gonna try, they would stop this alien invasion. Okay, but they're not, and it almost makes me wonder and question, hey, are they intending to do this? Because if it's the government, they do care, and they're just making a whole lot of things worse. It seems like it's intended. The first thing that you do to bring down housing costs would be to stop the alien invasion, and they're not doing that. I do want to get to this butchered solo interview that Kamala Harris did. We know that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they interviewed as a team. But now she has finally come out and done a solo interview with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle. So on today's show, I want to fact check her, lies, her word salad. So Stephanie asked Kamala what she would say to voters who didn't align with her policies. What would you say to those voters? Her response was an attempt at platitudes, and they made no sense. She, what is burden be unburdened by what has been, that whole thing where she just, rambles about things that she thinks sounds nice. Okay. But then she claims that she grew up middle class. I've debunked that several times on this show. She grew up in the wealthiest, second wealthiest suburb in Montreal, Canada. She also comes from a family line of slave drivers, quite literally. Hamilton Brown was her great grandpappy. And she's not middle class. Okay, her mother had a divorce settlement of what would be equivalent today as $100,000+. So, I mean, she had that in her bank account when she went to Canada. She's a cancer researcher. They're not by any means middle class workers over there, cancer researchers. They don't make a ton of money, but they definitely aren't like middle class salary. And her dad was a professor at Stanford and, makes gobs of money. So, she also said that Bill Gates, right, said if he were in charge of taxes that he'd pay more. Ruhle, the journalist, the so-called journalist, Stephanie Ruhle from MSNBC mentioned that. So it's unclear why he doesn't pay more, Bill Gates, if that's the case. But of course, Kamala Harris, she responded with this rant on the engine of America's economy. And then she went after corporations, big bad corporations. Let's take a listen here.
Prices are still high.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You said you want to take this on by going after those who engage in price gouging.
Yeah.
But as somebody who supports free markets, who's a capitalist, how do you go after price gouging without implementing price controls? Because once we get in this zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So just to be very frank, I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people. And as Attorney General, I saw this happen. In the midst of an emergency, whether it be an extreme weather event or even the pandemic, we saw it, where those few companies, not the majority, not most, but those few companies that would take advantage of the desperation of people and jack up prices. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them. And that is part of a much more comprehensive plan on what we can do to bring down the cost of living, including housing, including the everyday needs of the American people.
That's scary. That should scare you. Yes, I'm going to go after American companies, a few companies, not the ones that continue to contribute to Democrats, but I'm going to go after the companies that don't bend the knee to the DEI, ESG scores. I'm going to go after those companies. That's what's going to wind up happening. And the price gouging did not happen during the pandemic because it's everything. Okay, price gouging. For it to be called price gouging, it has to be a specific industry. When you look at small businesses, okay, it's not just corporations, it's small businesses have had to raise their prices, okay? Your local deli, I'm sure their prices are, you walk in and you're like, whoa, where did these come from? A couple of years ago, I didn't pay this for a steak, and it's a local deli. It's not Walmart. Walmart actually has cheaper steaks than your small business, right? So it's everywhere. It's every industry. It's every sector. And it's not price gouging. Price gouging would be like, for example, it happened during Hurricane Katrina where they were making consumers pay like $100 for batteries or $100 for a bottle of water. Okay, so that's price gouging. This is all across every single business sector. So that tells me it's actually the way you guys are spending things. The Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, those tie-breaking votes of yours, Kamala Harris, actually implemented things, giving away money to people. Jerry Springer checks. That's what's bringing up the cost of housing. If you give $25,000 to people, first-time home buyers, that's going to increase demand when there's no supply. If you give $7,500 for somebody to buy an electric vehicle, Ford is going to come around and say, well, we'll raise our prices by $8,000 because everybody has money in their pocket for these EVs. So that's not price gouging. That's called inflation, and it's your fault. While discussing the steel industry, she said that she's, quote, very proud to have the endorsement of the steel workers and almost every other union in America because she stands for workers and stands by workers and by the importance of, what did she say? Gosh, I'm reading her quote here. Stands by workers and by the importance of and to understand the benefit and the value of unions. Okay, the UAW didn't endorse you. Okay, they've endorsed Democrats almost nearly every election. They endorsed Reagan and Nixon, I think it was. But they endorsed Democrats and they didn't endorse you. So that to sit there and say, oh, I've got all these unions. You might have some unions, but you don't have the UAW. And they always do this with the whole union thing. In other words, she struggles to answer the most basic questions in this pre-recorded interview. And it's unfathomable how she thinks she could make a good president. I don't know how she thinks she could make a good president. She hasn't worked, and this is totally fair game. She hasn't worked for anything that she's got. Okay, she's not middle class. She also, I hate to say it, slept her way up to the top, the political ladder. Okay, this is not, and she continues to do it, i.e., she was installed. She earned no votes. Willie Brown, she was in his office. He gave her, what was it, $72,000 job back in the 90s. I mean, that's a lot of money in the back then, right? $72,000 salary. And she was a 29-year-old and had no experience. And, he got in trouble. He was looked at by people and they said, hey, he's giving favors out to his friends, his allies, and he's using his position, his official capacity to do it. So she has never earned anything. She struggles to answer the most basic questions because she knows she's not supposed to be there. She knows she hasn't earned it. Outside of the word salads, she had a bunch of lies. I'm going to get to those lies here on the other side. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. Yes, Donald Trump, he's introduced a plan to make overtime more lucrative. Now, in her solo interview, because she hasn't done one since being installed as the Democrat nominee, she said, quote, he has an agenda that would make it more difficult for workers to earn overtime and an agenda that would include cutting off access to small business loans and for small businesses. Okay, so she just told a bunch of lies about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, he has said that, hey, we're going to incentivize overtime work. And we're going to do no income taxes on overtime work. He introduced a plan that is going to make overtime more lucrative for overtime workers. Then she copies J.D. Vance's child tax credit plan, but it's not an exact copy, okay? She's just going to give out money to people who don't even pay taxes. That's Kamala Harris's plan. J.D. Vance's plan ensures that we're not just giving out money to people who have babies. That's where you run into baby mamas, right? That's an actual term where you just have babies for the money. Okay, so we had issues with this where you get babies and then you get the government money and the government checks. That's Kamala Harris's plan. J.D. Vance says, no, you actually have to be working and contribute and pay taxes. So there's restrictions on those monies. So she might as well wear a MAGA hat because she's literally trying to take credit for all of Trump's wins. It's no wonder she doesn't do any kind of interviews ever, and this is her first one, and it's pre-recorded, and it was just terrible. So I'll be right back. We're going to be back chatting a little bit about CNN interviewing some 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds discuss what they think about the election. That's next on Conservative Cat. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button. Yes, Kamala Harris, she did a sit-down interview, and she sits there and she says that, Donald Trump, he's going to make it to where small businesses can't get small business loans. Not true. And she says, he's going to make it to where, people working overtime are going to, he's going to make it to where workers can't earn more if they work overtime, okay, making it more difficult to have workers earn overtime. So that's not true. He said that, hey, overtime workers, you guys, that extra income, you guys won't be taxed on that extra income. That's going to definitely be more lucrative for overtime workers. So, yeah, she just had a bunch of word salads, a bunch of lies about Donald Trump, and that child tax credit plan, that's a huge one because J.D. Vance's tax credit, I think it was like for $5,000. Hers is for $6,000. J.D. Vance's differs from Kamala Harris's in that he puts a bunch of requirements on it. You have to have requirements. Otherwise, you're giving money to people without any kind of, reason. Just because you have children doesn't mean you should have that money if you have no job, if you're not contributing to society and you're just having the children for the income, then you're going to wind up with a baby mama situation, and that's not a good thing. Her only plan is to take money away from Americans and give it to people who didn't earn it. That's her child tax credit. That's her first-time home buyers thing. Capital gains tax. I mean, this is her plan, is to take money away from Americans and give it to people who don't earn it. She also said that she's going to go after big bad corporations. That's clearly an old, tired talking point, okay? The left always brings up that talking point of big bad corporations, and the price gouging. And, she goes, it's only a few industries that tried to price gouge people during the pandemic and after the pandemic. And it's like, no. It's every industry. Everywhere you go, milk is up, bread is up, everything is up, because it makes more sense that it's inflation. It makes more sense that you've spent so much money at a government level, at the federal government level, with your Inflation Reduction Act, American Rescue Plan Act, that you've caused prices to skyrocket. Okay, that makes more sense than the price gouging thing, because price gouging, if it was truly price gouging, then it would only be a couple of industries like she had said. Kamala Harris, but it's not. Okay. And how do we know that? Because you actually go to the grocery store. Okay. She doesn't. When she calls, quite literally, she called, or Tim Walz was the one who called Doritos corn nuts. He was like, where are the corn? She was like, where are the corn nuts? They're in this gas station and they're filming, political theater and their campaign stop, right? And they're filming, and she goes, where are the corn nuts? And then Tim Walz has a bag of Doritos and hands her a bag of Doritos. He goes, here they are. And she goes, oh, I love these. They're not corn nuts. So the interview wouldn't have been complete had not Kamala Harris blamed Donald Trump for her open border and she created the worst immigration crisis in American history. She added that Trump supposedly killed the bill, right? The border bill. Now, it's unclear why they need a bill to do their job. So President Donald Trump, the reason why he did so poorly in that debate is because Kamala Harris wanted to talk about, and I wish he would have come at her. She talked about her child tax credit. She talked about her, what else does she got? The $25,000 for the first-time home buyer. She talked about these things. One, she doesn't have really the constitutional authority to do that kind of stuff. That should all be determined at the legislative level. Okay, she's the executive branch. What does the president do? Okay, Donald Trump was focused on that, the border and national security, foreign affairs, and things like that. That's what the president does. This whole child tax credit thing, the whole $25,000 for homeowners, price controls, all of that on, industry, that's not the job of the president. The job of the president is to ensure that America is safe from foreign entities. Okay, they are the protectors, commander in chief. They operate the military. So let's not forget what exactly the president does. And that's why Donald Trump sucked in the debate, because he wanted to talk about that. He wanted to talk about the actual job of the president because he's done the job. He knows what he's supposed to do in that role. She wanted to talk about legislatively changing things, and she can't do that in that position. So anyway, Trump, he didn't pass anything. He's not a passer. Okay. He's not somebody who cares really about legislation. He didn't not pass anything, that border bill. It had the conservative Republicans, they didn't vote for it because the border bill had flaws in it. Ukraine funding. It also had an enshrined in that bill a quota for how many illegal immigrants that Border Patrol agents just opened up the gates for. Thousands of illegals you're supposed to just admit. And it was enshrined. Illegal immigration was enshrined into law in that bill, and that's why they didn't vote for it. So she's unable to think critically and speak at a level that isn't just completely stupid. She's incapable of being smart. And I'm not smart. I'm definitely not. But this woman is running for president, and she can't even think critically. So when we come back, we're going to talk about CNN and the 10-year-olds who answered questions about the American election. And what they had to say was kind of interesting. If you want the truth about America, just ask a 10-year-old. Hey, welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yes, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. We're like 40-ish days away from the election. We are going to have an exclusive wall-to-wall coverage election show. that night from 7 to 9 p.m. I'm going to be providing you local results, along with obviously I'll be tracking the presidency as well. But I do want to and make sure that you guys are tuned in that night. Okay. I know that they're going to be preliminary results, and election night is kind of like anticlimactic in the sense that you don't really get the results until like 2 weeks after the election, because all the mail-in ballots kind of trickle in, and the election can change in 2 weeks. That's just where we're at in America. So before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Kamala Harris and the solo interview that she did with Stephanie Ruhle. It was stupid. It was a dumb interview, of course, but she's not very good at thinking on her feet. She said that she was going to go after bad corporations for price gouging. It's not price gouging, okay? Because she goes, it's only a few of them who are doing the price gouging. No, it's not, okay? Prices everywhere have increased in every sector. So that's how we know it's not price gouging, and that it's inflation, and that it's your fault because of the Inflation Reduction Act. And you guys can't stop spending money, $152 billion to Ukraine. Okay. And then it wouldn't be a complete interview without Kamala Harris going after Donald Trump. In this interview, she said that the open border and her border crisis that she created, it's the worst immigration crisis in American history. She said that it's Trump's fault because he killed the bill. And it's like, okay, why do you need to pass a bill to do your job? Okay. Donald Trump did it. He didn't pass anything to keep that border closed. You guys didn't need a bill to begin with. And not to mention the bill enshrined, I don't know how many times I've got to say this, the bill enshrined illegal immigration into law. So it essentially said, hey, Border Patrol agents, let in thousands of illegal, here's your quota to meet every single year, let in thousands of illegal immigrants and don't check their documents, their papers, don't let them take the legal avenue. We're going to just let thousands of illegal immigrants in every year. So no, of course it was a terrible bill. Plus it gave funding to Ukraine, more funding to Ukraine. It was a terrible bill. Okay. And Donald Trump did not get that bill to not pass. Okay. It was so conservative Republicans read it and they were like, no way. Sorry, but we're not going to enshrine into law illegal immigration and not allow these illegals to be vetted at the border. That's what they wanted. Okay. So she's incapable, Kamala Harris, of critically thinking. And that's why Trump, by the way, did so poorly in the debate, and why it appeared that he did so poorly in the debate. Let me be clear. He actually wanted to stick to the issues of the presidency. Kamala Harris wanted to talk about her child tax credit. She wanted to talk about the $25,000 to first-time home buyers. This is things that these are things that she has no constitutional authority over. This is something that should be decided at the legislative level. The president, what is the president's job? What do you think the president's job is? 309-451-9299. Donald Trump tried to stick to that because he's done the job before. It's foreign affairs. It's ending wars, making sure wars don't happen. It's also protecting the American citizenry within our own borders and making sure the country has sovereignty. Okay, so it's a very, and you're the commander in chief of the military. Okay, so it's a very high level position. She wants to talk about legislating. She wants to talk about going after corporations, setting price controls, things like that. That's all something that the legislature should be deciding on or should be making the decisions about, not her. That's why Donald Trump did so poorly, or because she wanted to talk about legislation. He wanted to talk about the role of the president, the job itself. When you think about the job, and that's why she has to bring up the child tax credit, which, by the way, the child tax credit she's proposed. And that's why, I love Trump. I don't understand in this election, and I get what they're trying to do in this election, in the 2024 election, and comparative to other elections that he's run in 2016, 2020, he has consistently been introducing policy. They're not policy makers. Presidents are not policy makers. Let's leave the policy up to the legislature. He's said things like no tax on tips. He's said things like, And I get why he's doing that, because he's running against a policymaker. That she was a senator, and that is her expertise. However, that's super unconstitutional. Okay, let's stay in the lane of the president. The lane of the president is to protect America and be commander in chief. Okay, so that's what Trump really wanted to stick to in the debate, because he's done that job before. Think about this. Would Kamala Harris be fit for that role? Truly the role of the presidency, which is to deal with foreign affairs, deal with these now wars that we've got going on, and to ensure the border is secure. Would she be able to do those two things? No? Okay, well, then the choice is clear. It should be Donald Trump. Okay, so CNN, if you want to know the truth about America, just ask a 10-year-old. Yeah, so CNN, they've got this interview out there of 10-year-olds, and I actually really enjoyed this. I thought this was probably the best interview that CNN has done during the election season. So they asked several kids about politics. And the group, I think that they're some of the most insightful people that I know, these kids. Okay, so some of them, they're just repeating what their parents say. Obviously, this one kid was asked, what's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris? And he goes, liar. And I'm just going to play the clip. I think that the clip is really good. I think that this is the best interview that CNN has ever done. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear Donald Trump?
Pure evil.
Which one do you think is more selfish?
Like selfish, probably her.
Kamala Harris?
Yeah, because girls are a little bit dramatic sometimes.
Donald Trump, he's given his life and his heart.
She even shook hands with Mr. Trump to greet him before the debate, started the debate, which is pretty kind of when you're going against your opponent.
Okay, so according to CNN, when a child is asked for one word to describe former President Donald Trump, and, it comes up with pure evil, it suggests that there is a level of division that is surprising. Okay, so when she says pure evil, when a child says that, that suggests that there is a level of division in this country that surprised me. I did not realize 10 to 11-year-olds thought this about American politics. So, it suggests that, there is this division, but it also suggests that parents, kids are like sponges. It suggests that they're parroting talking points from their parents. Okay, kids just don't come up with, pure evil. It does suggest that there is a level of division, but this is the parents. Okay, their kids are not divisive. They'll play with anybody. They love everybody because they haven't lived life. They're very naive. Okay, so this suggests how divisive it is amongst adults, but it also says a lot about the parents in that household, because they're parroting the talking points of their parents, and their parents are very divisive people in the sense that you're going to just say pure evil as soon as you think Donald Trump. CNN asked for one word to describe the candidates. As a result, Trump, he got a range of positive and negative reactions. One kid said, "Go America," when they said, "Hey, describe Donald Trump in a couple of words." And they said, "Go America." Some were extremely negative, like the pure evil comment, but there were criticisms of Harris too. One kid, he obviously says, "Describe Kamala Harris," and he goes, "Liar." Yeah, I just fact checked Kamala Harris like crazy in the other segment. And she is a liar. And the kid probably heard this from his parents, but that one is true. Donald Trump is pure evil. Come on. Have you seen well, you haven't, because the mainstream media will not show you all of the great things that Donald Trump does for people. He's a very giving person. His granddaughter, goes up on the RNC convention and says, to everybody, he's this, everybody says he's this terrible guy, but to me, he's grandpa. So nobody gets to see him, do good things for America or good things just for people, average citizens, because the mainstream doesn't show that. But the best answer out of everyone was this girl. Nobody is talking about this one, where this kid, she's a girl in Texas, and she's asked by CNN, hey, who do you think is the most selfish? And the girl points to Kamala Harris and says, well, girls can be dramatic sometimes. And, she said in this response to the question, of course, which candidate is more selfish? And also noted that, quote, she says, only boys have been president before, and that they're stronger, that boys are stronger. Wow, that was incredible. I love that response from this little girl. It's the best response because Kamala, her campaign thought that they were going to be able to run on insignificant birth traits, like the fact that she's, has darker color skin. It's still unclear if she's Black, Indian, a little combination of both. But they thought that she'd be able to run on the fact that she's a woman and has darker skin. These are insignificant birth traits, right? They assumed that any kind of criticism that she would get during the campaign, they could just say, hey, you can't do that because she's a woman. She's a woman. She's a woman. And, any kind of criticism won't be tolerated because she's a woman. And that's what they've been running on is, hey, she's a woman. You can't say that about her. However, the fact that she's de facto president and that she's weak, and, she doesn't respond to criticism well, proves that she is unserious and she is not a good candidate for president, and that she is not strong enough for the role of the presidency, which I've discussed previously, that is to protect our borders and protect the United States and our sovereignty, and then also deal with foreign adversaries. Okay, that is the role of the presidency. They're not policymakers. Calling her a drama queen is totally fitting, especially considering she gets upset over things that most presidents wouldn't even think about. So, for example, people might mispronounce her name slightly. She gets enraged over that. Kamala Harris does. So that proves that she is a drama queen. Okay, she gets upset about her name, her little allies get upset when people mispronounce her name. So no other president would ever even, think about getting upset about a little thing like that. Another child said Kamala shook Trump's hand before the debate, and that shows that she's mature and kind. However, that statement only proves that these heavily thought out actions, like shaking Donald Trump's hand, to insert like fake dominance. So she clearly goes to shake Trump's hand before the debate, and it's a very deliberate move, and only children with brains that are not fully developed, they don't understand that is a very deliberate move made by Kamala Harris to show dominance. It's fake dominance because she has no strength. We can see that because, she was in charge with the border and she has zero strength. But this kid, respectfully, he's beyond his years. I say that respectfully. He doesn't understand that this is a heavily thought out action because his brain isn't fully developed and he can't comprehend how Democrat and Republican parties work when it comes to physical movements or verbal communication. Every action that a candidate makes is deliberate, and the campaign tells them to do this. Okay, so the fact that one of CNN's best interviews this election, this is one of the best interviews I think that they've ever done this election cycle and previous election cycles. It proves that this is a pathetic, the state in which journalism is in. It's just pathetic. That's all I can say. But at least some of the answers here were true, like Kamala Harris is a liar. That is true. And they were entertaining. These were very entertaining responses from the children. So if you want the truth about how America kind of politics is at and where we're at as a nation, just ask a bunch of 10-year-olds. I think that this was an incredibly well done interview. So I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. The DOJ, they say, this representative says that the DOJ's job is to go after Donald Trump and Christian nationalists. Yes, a Democrat representative said that the entire purpose of the DOJ is to go after you, the Christian nationalists. So I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. Coming up in just a little bit, I will be talking about a nonprofit Haitian group. They're seeking criminal charges against J.D. Vance and Donald Trump over the eating pets comment. Okay, they're going to try to criminally go after J.D. Vance and Donald Trump for just repeating what constituents tell them. Okay, so this is multiple people, eyewitnesses, who have said Haitian illegal immigrants are eating the pets. There's multiple 911 calls, video footage. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter what evidence you show the left. They're going to say that it's a conspiracy theory that the Haitians are eating pets, the illegal immigrants. Okay, it doesn't matter that they're Haitians. It doesn't matter their skin color. It's just that they're illegal immigrants and they're eating pets. And it doesn't matter how much evidence you present, the left will continue to say that this is a conspiracy theory. And now this nonprofit organization, because they've been emboldened by the media, have filed charges or attempting to go after Donald Trump and J.D. Vance criminally. All right, let's get to this Democratic representative. Her name is Stacey Plaskett. She said the point of the Department of Justice is to go after Donald Trump. She said this out loud with her mouth, and to be a check against Christian nationalists, white fragility, and fascists. Yes, I'm quoting her here. However, if you check all the legal documents in American history, I can't seem to find anything that suggests there is the government is supposed to serve as a check against the people. No. In no document ever of our founding does it say that the government serves as a check against we the people. Okay, so according to her, the purpose of government is to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascists, and the twice impeached convicted felon former president and would-be dictator Donald Trump. You know, I don't know too many dictators that would have conceded the election and left office. Okay, that's like your whole argument of him being a dictator crumbles because he was in office in 2020 and he did leave office in 2021 when he gave up the election to Joe Biden. I don't know many dictators that would do that. Let's take a listen to State Representative Stacey Plaskett is her name. And this is the purpose of the DOJ in her eyes.
What is the point of this subcommittee? Because it's necessary for the public and the media to hear, to try and provide cover for the eradication of the Department of Justice and the FBI. We are having these hearings so that you become immune. You become inured to the notion of the removal of the FBI and DOJ, so that those agencies are no longer there to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascists, and the twice impeached convicted felon, former president and would-be dictator, Donald Trump. What is the point of this subcommittee?
Wow. Wowza. Settle down there, Karen, okay? Who would have guessed you could justify that the weaponization of the DOJ to go after political rivals, while also claiming to despise white people, Christians, and nearly half of all of the country in one sentence? I mean, that was crazy. So the weaponization, she's justifying the weaponization of the DOJ to go after their political rivals because she despises and she doesn't like white people. She doesn't like Christians. She doesn't like half of the country. And she says that the DOJ is justified in going after these people because who are their political rivals, by the way? They're justified because she doesn't like them. Okay. This lady works. Does she realize that she works for we the people, all people of this country, including the white people, including the Christians in this country? This representative is just an awful person, and she's unhinged. She's deranged. Clearly, by her comments, she thinks that it's okay for the DOJ to be weaponized against white people and Christians of this country. And it hasn't even been 2 weeks since the second assassination attempt, and she's doubling down on this kind of rhetoric. She's calling him a would-be dictator, which doesn't even make sense. Like I said, that whole argument just crumbles because he was the president and he left office. I don't know many presidents or many dictators that would say, yeah, I'll leave office. Okay. What do you think? Hitler was like, oh, yep, it is just time for me to leave office. No, obviously not. A dictator wouldn't leave office. He did because he's not a dictator. So this committee, quote, according to the Daily Caller, this committee has been used to weaken the system following the desires of the far-right conspiracy theorist, and in particular Elon Musk. To allow them free reign on these platforms, American civilians have been harassed, threatened, and doxxed. And Mr. Musk, since you think tweeting or Xing or whatever it is you call what you do on your platform about me is going to scare me to be quiet, you obviously don't know what I've made of, said Pulaski. She ranted during the hearing. She continues to rant, quote, generations of individuals who have fought for me to have the ability to say what I want to say, to speak the truth. That's amazing. This government official is claiming politically incorrect views should be censored, and she despises Musk for defending the Constitution. But in the same breath, she says, I have the ability to speak freely, to speak truth. What, the Christian nationalist, or I don't even like that term. A nationalist, I mean, that's just means that you love America. What's wrong with that? That you believe in your nation and that you like your nation and that you would call yourself American. What's so wrong about that? They try to say this word nationalist like it's a bad thing. It's not. To love your country is a good thing, I would imagine. But she's saying, oh, I get to, speak truth, and that there's generations of individuals who have fought for me. Okay, well, even those who have different political views than you also have that same ability, okay, to speak their truth, right? You guys are always like, oh, I want to speak my truth. Okay, well, people who differ from you have the ability to speak their truth too, okay? And they have the ability to speak freely on platforms, even if you might not like it. So in a serious country, these types of statements that this woman made would bar her from being able to hold office. But we don't live in a serious country anymore. She's going to provide, I want to know if she is going to provide any kind of evidence that people have been harassed, doxxed, threatened because of free speech, or if she's just making things up again. I want to know how many people are actually doxxed on a daily basis when it comes to Twitter, on Elon Musk's platform. How many people are actually harassed, doxxed, and threatened? Okay. And does that number justify her getting out there and saying it definitively like that this is happening every day? She makes it sound like that's all that's happening on X. That's not true. It's free speech. Free speech. So she's anti-First Amendment, but in the same breath, she says, oh, people fought for her ability to speak truth. But really what she means to say that only her political views should be tolerated, and the rest of America and Christians, they should be censored, because obviously this woman thinks that she's God and she gets to speak the truth, and nobody else has any kind of say over what is going on in the country and anything, how they feel. She goes on and she says, you forget that this is not pre-90s apartheid South Africa, the country of your birth. This is America. And there are more of us Americans that love our diversity, our rule of law, than there are of you. And then she goes on, then she goes on and she says, the outcome of hearings in this committee have supported my claim that from the very beginning, the creation of the select subcommittee, that this has been gaslighting to the nth degree, a tremendous projection of the highest order, that the evidence is that your words of their leader, their would-be dictator, Donald Trump, and Project 2025, the 900-page manifesto, which is not. Look, Project 2025 isn't even all that bad. I don't even know. Like when I read it, I'm just like, okay, there's a few far right things in there, but not a whole lot. So she brings up Project 2025. I don't know. She goes on a rant. I'm trying to read this quote, and I can't even really make sense of it all. So Project 2025, she threw that in there. A lot of naive voters still believe that Donald Trump is behind Project 2025. He's not. It's the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank, which I read some of Project 2025. I didn't read the whole 900 pages, but what I read, it's not even that far right. It's just like, basic talking points of the right that they parroted. So yeah, this is nothing more than a pathetic wannabe tyrant. She is a tyrant. She thinks that she knows the truth. She has a God complex, and she's parading around, this weaponization of federal government subcommittee, and she's acting like she's the most powerful person. She's the tyrant. She's the would-be dictator. If she were to be given any more power than what she's got there as a representative, she would. If she had it her way, she would be locking up Christians just for holding the belief of Christianity. So she will say anything. People like this will say anything to make themselves relevant. And unfortunately, it makes her largely irrelevant when she starts to rant like this. It's so embarrassing. And people know that this is clearly radical. And it makes her irrelevant. Because people dismiss this right away. So anything that she might hold, like her political beliefs or her views, it all goes out the window, because when you spout out crazy radical rhetoric like this, you're dismissed automatically. So it kind of defeats your purpose of trying to be relevant. So yeah, I thought that was absurd. She says that the purpose of the DOJ is to go after Christians. Wow. Incredible. I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back.
insurance covers on the major components. Looks like I'm getting more than a refrigerator today. How much does this whole store cost? Nothing. For real. We guarantee to meet any competitor's deal, all that other stuff we talked about, like our service tax and your 5-10-year protection plan, all included. Antennas free and chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And when we say you get the whole store, we mean the whole store. Wow!
The Fox Business Report is from INB's new Lockbox Lite, making it easier for businesses to get their banking done. I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report. DirecTV and Dish could be merging. Wall Street Journal says the two satellite TV companies are in talks to create one of the largest pay TV distributors. Costco's earnings were much better than expected, and its sales were up more than 5%. Though Wall Street was hoping for even stronger sales, and Costco shares are down 1% this morning. Fidelity Investments is putting tighter restrictions on deposits through its mobile app. It's in response to an alleged check fraud scheme discovered earlier this month. Customers of cash management accounts will be restricted to deposits of no more than $1,000, and some deposits will require a 16-day hold before the money's available. The scheme involved depositing fake or doctored checks and quickly withdrawing the money. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jim Posola, invested in you.
Hey, Donald Trump Jr. here. Central banks are buying gold at record amounts, and the trend is accelerating in 2024. They see the writing on the wall. The dollar is failing. Is gold the answer for you too? To find out, get a free info kit from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust, right now.
At Tax and Accounting Plus, they're rock stars, but instead of microphones and guitars, they use spreadsheets. Focus on growing your business and servicing your customers. Small Tax and Accounting Plus handles your payroll and bookkeeping. Find the experts at taxandaccountingplus.com.
Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I love Jacqueline. She's commenting this morning on the live stream. You can find me on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. She says, and then we have sheer dingbats like leftists who come on to this page and they deny the weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ. Just yesterday, a leftist said, quote, "This is impossible, yet you have this woman right here saying with her mouth during this hearing that she believes the purpose of the DOJ is to go after white people and Christians." Like with her mouth, she said this out loud. I'm going to play this clip one more time just because it's that important. Here we go.
What is the point of this subcommittee? Because it's necessary for the public and the media to hear, to try, and provide cover for the eradication of the Department of Justice and the FBI. We are having these hearings so that you become immune. You become inured to the notion of the removal of the FBI and DOJ, so that those agencies are no longer there to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascists, and the twice impeached, convicted felon, former president and would-be dictator, Donald Trump.
The whole purpose of going after the whole purpose of the DOJ is to go after Donald Trump. She said it out loud, folks. Okay, I mean, that's the purpose of the weaponization subcommittee is to yes, eradicate agencies that think it's okay to go after Christians. I have checked documents, American history documents. I've looked. nowhere in it does it say that the government is supposed to be a check on the people. Okay, everywhere, every American history document I've ever seen, the opposite is true. The people are supposed to check the government, and they're supposed to be checking on or check the government and make sure. And that's the purpose of this subcommittee. The weaponization of government. It's a committee, and they look at the GOJ, the FBI, and how they're going after Christians, how they're going after white people, people who love the country, nationalists. Okay, so I don't understand what's so wrong about white people, Christians, and people who love the country. What's so wrong about that? That's half of America. Okay, I'm a white person. I love the country, and I'm a Christian. So you're going to go after me? And that's not what the purpose of government should be. That's why the subcommittee exists, so that way representatives, the people. Does she not realize she's supposed to be serving the people, representing people? It sounds like she's representing the government and the DOJ and the FBI. She's supposed to serve as a check on those agencies. But I guess she didn't get the memo that she's supposed to be a representative of the people. So I do want to get to this story. There have been charges filed against President Donald Trump. A Haitian group, it's a nonprofit. They have sued President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance over these allegations that Haitian migrants are eating pets and were eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. However, whether or not that's true, this is America, and saying what one believes to be accurate is not a crime. Okay, so this nonprofit group, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, it's not a crime to suggest that Haitian migrants could be eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, especially if you believe that to be accurate because of all of the eyewitness testimony your constituents provide you. That's all J.D. Vance and Donald Trump were doing. They were just repeating what their constituents were telling them. Okay, that's it. So it's not a crime to claim alien invaders are eating dogs and eating cats. Okay, so according to the Post Millennial, this nonprofit, Gerline Joseph is the executive director of this nonprofit group. It's called Haitian Bridge Alliance. They filed charges on behalf of the organization in accordance with an Ohio statute that permits private citizens to file criminal charges, which are then either affirmed or denied by the state court. So they can do this. They can file charges, and then the state court will say no or yes and uphold those charges. Gosh, this is just so silliness. This is such silliness. So according to the nonprofit's complaint, they say that the allegations that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump made resulted in numerous threats over the past few weeks. They have become emboldened. This nonprofit group has become emboldened because of the media saying this exact thing. Okay, they're saying the exact thing that the media is saying, that the allegations that Haitians are eating pets, eating dogs, eating cats, that's resulting in threats. And it strains the local resources and city services. I don't know, maybe the alien invasion is straining local resources and services, but that's just me. So the nonprofit filed charges on behalf of the organization. The charges filed against J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are making false alarms, committing telecommunications harassment, a slew of other charges. I'm not going to go into all of them. Just wow. This nonprofit is requesting the court issue arrest warrants for the GOP nominee and his running mate because they didn't like what he said. It's not a crime to say and to repeat things your constituents say. Okay, that's not a crime. Can Haitians also sue presidents in Haiti for their when their feelings get hurt? I don't think so. Here in America, we allow you to do this, I guess, via the law. You can do this. I'm not saying that they don't have the ability to do this, but why? You live in America. You're allowed to say things that you believe to be accurate. Okay, it's not a crime to say things that you believe to be accurate. All right, I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I'll be right back. Hey, I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. PTL Fabrication. Yes, please do hit that like button. It really helps me out. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about this Haitian group going after Donald Trump with criminal charges in Haiti. If Haitians were to sue former presidents in Haiti, because their feelings were hurt, I don't think that they can do that there. They can only do that here in America. They can And it's infuriating that they get to do this in America because it's just so silly. Why are you going after Donald Trump? Because he said something he believes to be accurate and, has enough evidence to say something like this by journalistic standards, right? You have several eyewitnesses who have come to you, constituents who have come to you and have expressed concerns about Haitians eating pets, cats, and dogs. The most infuriating things to come out of Kamala Harris's alien invasion is that people from third world countries are arriving here and they practice third world they practice third world actions, I guess. Okay, so it's not crazy to say that Haitians are eating pets and cats, dogs in Haiti. Actual Haitians in that country probably have to resort to eating pets, cats, dogs because of how bad things are there. Many migrants, they don't want to contribute to society, and they believe that they should get all these things for simply breathing. I don't know if it's because they come out of these third world countries that they believe they're entitled to first world pleasantries right away, just because they come from third world countries. And look, I'm not a bigot. I'm not an unsympathetic person. However, just because you come from a bad place and unfortunately you were born in a bad place, or you come from a bad place, or you live in a bad place, unfortunately that doesn't entitle you to the pleasantries of America. Okay. What entitles you to the pleasantries of America is that you want to contribute to America. Okay, that's why there's an immigration process. You have to want to be here. Okay, you have to want to be here, and not just for the pleasantries that this country offers you. You have to want to be here, and by wanting to be here, you have to want to contribute to make this place so great. Okay, and a lot of migrants don't want to do that. Okay, that's why they collect free things like that, because they have this sense of entitlement, and it might come from a place of, oh, I was treated so badly, now I deserve all of these things. It's not my fault you were treated badly. So Americans are now being treated like second-class citizens in their own country, and what makes things even worse is obviously inflation. Thank you, Kamala Harris, for your tie-breaking votes. But, this Haiti group, or this Haitian nonprofit organization, they're obviously trying to put themselves up on some sort of pedestal to try to get donations to line their pockets. That's what a lot of these NGOs, non-government organizations, are all about. And it's unfortunate because, they hide behind this great name like Haiti Bridge or Haitian Bridge, whatever their nonprofit name is, that they're supposed to be helping Haitians and communities, legal Haitians and communities. They hide behind this fake cause. And it's really disturbing that they get away with this kind of stuff all the time, non-government organizations. But this woman, or this, I think it's a woman. Yes, it's a woman. The executive director of this organization alleged that the dissemination of such allegations by Trump and Vance resulted in the harassment of members from the local Haitian community. She also argued that the former president and his running mate should be prosecuted for their actions. And the charges, she said, are based on the fact that the claims have been debunked on several occasions by both city and state officials. Look, of course, the city and state officials are going to fact check or say that this isn't true because it makes them look bad, because they haven't done anything about the immigration crisis. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. As I said, the executive director of this Haitian nonprofit group, they are waging charges, or they're trying to get charges against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. She said that the dissemination of the allegations that, Haitian illegals are eating pets, cats, and dogs resulted in the harassment of members of the local Haitian community. She argued that the former president and his running mate should be prosecuted for their actions. She says in the complaint here, the charges are based on the fact that the claims have been debunked on several occasions by state and city officials. Look, state and city officials have everything to gain by dismissing the eyewitness testimonies of several constituents in that area. They have a lot to gain by dismissing it, okay, because they are being negligent in allowing these illegal immigrants to stay in their communities. In a serious country, this would be thrown out, and the lawyer bringing this suit would be sanctioned. However, we no longer live in a serious country, as I say many times throughout the program. It wouldn't be unsurprising if the courts go with this, if they actually say, yes, we're going to uphold these criminal charges that you've filed. This group is literally demanding Trump be arrested for the fact, and the fact that they're so entitled that they think that they can make such demands against a former president is astonishing. I just can't believe it. Do you think people in Haiti get to do this kind of thing? Of course not. Only in America you get to do this kind of thing. And what's unfortunate is you got to want to be here. I don't think that these people actually want to be here. A lot of migrants, especially the ones that just collect a check and don't want to contribute to society, they don't want to be here. That's why there's a legal immigration process to make sure you want to be here. All right, you guys have a blessed weekend. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every day. Find me on YouTube and subscribe. I love you. Bye-bye. We'll do it all over again on Monday morning, 6 a.m., bright and early. Catch you later.